Senate Transportation Committee meeting. We're going to be in and out pretty quick today. So well, since you're praising the Lord, said I'll ask you to give us a little word of wisdom.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for my colleagues, and thank you for allowing us to get out of here quickly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Senator. If you're loquacious, that's a problem. So for me, I believe we have Representative Thomas is going to talk to us about HB 1438. So Representative Thomas, if you want to grab that microphone there and we'll put you on. You're on TV.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the committee hearing my bill today. We are actually working off of LC number 393446S. So this has 5 sections. It's a departmental housekeeping bill. Section 1 cleans it up, the language, so that way we could have a notification via email instead of paper mail. That's all it does. It saves a little bit of paper. Section 2 changes so that way proposals, it changes the language from proposals to proposal revisions. Typically through the proposal process, revisions are done. We want to make sure that that's codified in such a way that makes sense for the process. Section 3 makes some changes specifically to the alternative contracting method. It cleans it up. And section 4 was some language that has been added. Line item 74 through 81 with regards to local medical examiner, coroner being allowed to delegate his duties to the people in the field. And finally, section 4, and then section 5 is really about personal identity protections. And that is the quickest presentation I can give on this bill.
Are there any questions from the? Well, that's okay. You can do that number. That's why you're our leader. So you can, Mike 11.
I'm Mike 11.
You're Mike 11. I thought you were Mike 1.
I'm 1 twice. 74 on 74. How do they do it now?
What's that?
How is it done now?
That was language that was added in.
Usually the bodies will stay in the car or on the scene until a coroner's there to pronounce them dead and do whatever investigations are necessary. This is an attempt to try to obviously move cars and get the roads open back up in a more efficient way. So they'll have to be trained to obviously look and see what the cause of death was.
It's a
you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a delay in traffic, Sydney, is what it amounts to, because if the coroner doesn't show up or the deputy coroner, then they can't pronounce them dead. They can't move. They can't move forward on the accident scene and get traffic open back up. And so what this allows is if and only if the coroner says it's okay to have somebody at the scene make that the announcement. I said then the road can get opened back up faster.
Okay.
Was there a question over here on this side?
I was going to ask a representative from Cherokee County. Is this your first time to this committee?
Yes, Mr. Senator, it is. Thank you.
I'm just curious. Do you know what CERTA stands for?
CERTA?
Yeah.
It's a great mattress. There's Sealy, CERTA.
Very good.
It means restful sleep. I appreciate the question.
You
Mr. Senator.
represent your people very well. I'm proud of you.
We enjoy our good sleep. That's for sure.
Yeah.
This is a great bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll be glad to entertain a motion there, Senator Anna Batarte, if you. Is there a second? I hear second. So we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Yeah, any opposed? Passes unanimous. So congratulations, you are the CERTA man.
Thank you very much.
I normally I will let our audience know and our members know I normally don't like to do the video stream, but in this case, because I got to see that beautiful haircut that he had, and in reference to our Mike number one said I think they go to the same barber. Said Representative Jones, good to have you here with us today. Said you want to talk about your substitute and kind of what we're doing there? We got to get up some sound. We're working on some sound.
Wait, I think that was me.
Ah, okay. Wait a minute. You are my technology guy. What happened?
I was so eager to present to this committee that I jumped the gun. But I do want to thank the chair for the accommodation. I know many of you would hopefully understand the position we're in. We have a big town hall tonight in Forsyth County. And unfortunately, we're excited about the 400-285, I'll say, reconstruction. But right now, the project causes a significant amount of delays between the Capitol and Forsyth County. So thank you so much for the accommodation. I sure do appreciate it. Sir, would you like me to go through the changes from yesterday, or is that the most effective way to use the committee's time?
I think I'd address those changes, and also I believe that Ms. Dolan has a little 3-sentence that we want to add in there as well. So go ahead, and that was on the Georgia, locating them in Georgia.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the Georgia friendly amendment, or do you want me to do the changes that occurred since yesterday?
I'll let you address the other ones, and I'll get Georgia in a minute.
Yes, sir. So members of the committee, thank you very much. I'm working off of LC 393448S. Since yesterday, if you look at the change in line 33, we've effectively changed 250 to the maximum unladen weight of 500 pounds and the maximum weight with cargo of 600 pounds. That was to accommodate one of the companies that has already produced a quote robot. The other changes occur, pardon me just for 1 second, getting to the proper line numbers for you. The other changes occur, if you could go to lines 217 and 218. We added in, initially it was highways and sidewalks. It now says highways, sidewalks, bicycle lanes, and bike paths and shared use. In 227, formerly it said sidewalk is owned by the local authority. We have added in sidewalk is owned or maintained by the local authority. And further, if I could direct the committee's attention to, I'll say, the entire section 3. This was initially meant to be a carve out for I'll say an innovation lab in Gwinnett County in Peachtree Corners. We decided to offer the committee the following suggestion to make something that is a bit, I'll say, extensible. So in case there's another jurisdiction, may that be a county or a municipality that would like to take on this level of innovation, which we'd be excited about supporting. We went ahead and we reworked 3, and I want to thank Jenna. She did, I think, a great job. We defined in lines 238 through 242, we did 2 key definitions: emerging mobility. So this is transport utilizing new technology or innovation, which is not currently defined, contemplated, or regulated under this title, and then local highways. And then in 243 to 247, we speak about the local authority being authorized and being able to enforce and enact rules that are necessary to operate and regulate the emerging modality on local highways, sidewalks, bicycle lanes, bike paths, and shared use paths in a geographically limited area. The geographically limited was in response to, I believe it was Senator Gooch, who asked about whether or not this could be, quote, the entire county or the entire city. And we went with geographically limited area within that local area authority's jurisdiction. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, those are all the changes since yesterday.
Thank you, Representative Jones. I would comment on that's sentence on line 238, 239, because autonomous vehicles, the fully autonomous vehicles that we passed several years ago, they're in statute. So this doesn't impact fully autonomous vehicles. And because me and the former transportation chair that's on our committee have been in the economic development world. One of the things that I wanted to add on to the bill is on line 35, where it talks about personal delivery device operator means a person or an agent of a person, and the right after person located within this state. That way, if there's a remote operation, we have a job in Georgia that's tied to it, and it's not a job in what other part of the world we really don't care about. But as Georgia senators, we want them to have that remote control, said they located here in Georgia.
And Mr.
Go ahead, Representative.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I appreciate you bringing that amendment. I concur with the amendment. If there's anything that I can speak to, please let me know.
Are there any questions from the committee? Senator Gooch?
Your last amendment there on line 35, is that practical for these companies that are building these things?
We think it is,
Yeah, I don't know.
unless I have somebody jumping up and down that's telling me it's not, but
Is it an operational center where they're literally at a computer, they're driving them, or how does that work?
that'd be a call center, said they, is what I'm envisioning, is when one of these things battery dies or whatever, that there's going to be somebody that they're calling here in Georgia to pick up the unit, get it back to where it is, or to operate it, or to make those changes.
Mr. Chair, may I comment?
Please do.
Yeah, Senator Gooch, if I could, a couple of things that come to my mind. I see these individuals more like air traffic controllers than necessarily joystick operators. These are going to be autonomous. So we're going to see a significant amount of movement around, I'll just say, the city streets, and then hopefully inside our county roads. And that allows the individual to be able to hopefully oversee X number of these units as opposed to a one-on-one relationship. I think the second thing, we don't know what we don't know. As innovation increases, and we hope innovation increases quickly, we think that having some purview over the operator would be a good idea. So just in case we decide, hypothetically, if it starts to have vertical takeoff capability, it's something that if we need to, maybe from some type of licensing or some type of restrictions, we could do that over someone who is within the state lines.
I hope that 500-pound unit's not flying.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
By all means, Senator Gooch.
Maybe this is for Jenna. We had an amendment sent by email, I guess this morning, on that language about the Peachtree Corners, and it had dates and stuff. Is that language in this bill? It's not. So can you explain how one would interpret that to only be Peachtree Corners?
Applicable, like, it's applicable to anyone, but it's not.
Okay. I wasn't aware that was changed against.
That's why I was trying to show it to you.
You're getting as good as Calvert.
I don't know which way to say that. Senator Lucas, you're here just in time to make a motion or say hello.
Let John talk.
Yeah.
See if John got
I think I've got John Watson signed up to speak to the bill. So if you want to grab the microphone.
Chairman, again, thank you. I'm just trying to get a bit of a clarification associated with the operator and the Georgia component. Forgive me, representing Amazon in this discussion. We couldn't currently comply with the remote operator being guaranteed to be in Georgia because of we are not at full scale of implementation. Obviously, we have employees, Georgia-based employees that run the machine. Obviously, it has to come back to a charging environment, and we have assuredly Georgians involved in the process, but it would not be 100% of those involved in operating the bot. Again, because it is not ubiquitous across the country. So again, we certainly have a priority of those that are on the ground dealing with them, but if the entirety of those touching the operation of that bot must be Georgia-based, that would be prohibitive to our current operations. And
Typ-
and forgive me,
Typically, Mr. Watson said they believe there's a lag between the time that a bill is passed out of the legislature, signed by the governor, and goes into law. And for me, being that we like Georgia-based jobs, and we're glad Amazon is here, got a lot of headquarters and bases in Georgia.
Right.
Yeah, we'd love to have those people operating those devices here in Georgia.
Understood.
If it presents a big problem, we can work on maybe striking that at a later date. But as it leaves the committee, I'd love to have that in it.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Because I think even our President Pro Tem has been involved in as chair in the Economic Development Committee at one point. So,
Could we go back to section 3?
sure.
And I'd like to ask Jenna to walk us through it. Because our concern was
You want to grab a
to
mic?
not allow this to be overly broad to where you would essentially just adopt a
Right.
corridor that basically is an entire county. So a geographically limited area could be the entire city limits, could it not?
Right. But we have removed anything that's currently in law. We took out the personal transportation vehicles, which is what we've already spoken to, and autonomous vehicles. And basically you're only allowed to do such an ordinance for emerging mobility, which is now defined. If you want to put in how big of an area the limited geographic area should be,
So,
then that's,
but can you tell us what an emerging technology is? I
yeah,
mean,
it's defined as any method of transport utilizing new technology or innovation which is not currently defined, contemplated, or regulated under this title.
So it's like we were told yesterday, it's pretty much a laboratory,
Right. It's nothing that
Right.
we have spoken to.
right? Nothing we've seen or permitted or,
Right.
so my concern is allowing anything on a state route or even a local street. If it's new technology, none of us have seen them. What controls do we have? Do we have any way to shut
You
it
have to
down?
come
Is
back,
this-
you'd have to come back and regulate it the following session, probably.
Representative Jones, I'm not trying to stall the bill. I really want to pass it, but I really worry about this language. I don't know how I thought we had it fixed earlier today. I talked to Mark and some others, and I thought we had language that would have taken care of that. So did you instruct her to change it?
The Representative Jones and I worked with Jenna
Okay.
to address the concern and make sure that because we didn't want to stop innovation from happening.
Because if you put the date certain, then only one city, and we don't know what that area has done.
Right.
To, someone could claim that they've,
But this has nothing to do with the underlying bill, correct? I mean,
this could stand on its own. I don't think
Right.
you need it for any of the.
So the
PBs.
underlying bill was what Representative Jones called this personal delivery devices, whatever it is. So I mean, that's an addition to section 3. This opens up a whole different concept of new emerging technology. Am I right?
Senator Gooch,
I'd be cautious. Yes.
the issue that was presented, and forgive me for not remembering when, I'll say a couple weeks ago, that at least I can't speak for Peachtree Corners because it's the only laboratory that exists in the state. But the issue that was presented was that given that if you look at lines 208 through 216 of the current sub, sir,
Yes.
they were concerned that that would impede innovation because they would not be able to do things at the local level to, I'll say, experiment with, I'm going to say, hybrid robot, Vtol, flying aircraft. And again, I'm making up something right now. And they wanted to have a little bit more autonomy to be able to do that. I would offer Senator Gooch, do we say something to the effect of in a geographically limited area, no larger than 1 square mile or something to that effect? I don't know how big Peachtree Corners is. I don't want to limit them and strike them out, but I'm not looking to hurt anyone, but we definitely want other counties and cities to be just as innovative as Peachtree Corners. And how do we do that to create a laboratory environment?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm open for suggestions. What's the other members think?
I have probably a dumb question, and then I have a comment. So dumb question would be, I guess, with the new language under 238, 239, I know we're focused on, emerging mobility, emerging technologies, and I know we're focused on pathways, roads, but this would also, I would assume, impact drones flying, devices within a certain geographic area. Like, so my thought is, would be the same concern is, like, are we opening up a door that we need to have a discussion about? I mean, maybe not, I might be overthinking that. I think to Senator Gooch's point is if we're going to describe Peachtree Corners, then why don't we just describe Peachtree Corners? If it's a square mile area with a laboratory, then let's get prescriptive on it. Unless we, legally can't, but just, I don't know. Those are just my two thoughts. I don't know if we're overthinking this.
One of the things that I'll kind of, and this is where my conversation with Representative Jones had on his bill is that, if Georgia Tech wanted to open up a lab, Kennesaw State, UGA, you've got other places around that may want to do this type of technology. And we don't want to limit to where we've said, okay, well, the only place you can do this is in this geographic area of the state.
Right.
But we don't want to open up the entire state. But the object is to move forward with new forms of technology and allow that research to be done. And that's what, when we haven't addressed it in state law, that's what we're actually doing is we're saying, look, if we haven't addressed it in state law yet, the door's open for you to have a lab in a community and do that research. And that's where I think that me and Representative Jones worked with Legislative Council to make that happen, open that door without just putting a wall up around the technology. We want it to get out there across the state. Senator Dugan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think what you're saying and how I read this are the same thing, that we're not confining it to Peachtree Corners, but we're giving the control to the local authorities to determine if and when those thingies can be used here. So that's how I read it.
And you're exactly right. And one of the things that I don't know why we haven't had anybody bring it up yet, but I was kind of one of those folks that wanted to see the transponders from Star Trek come up. And when we get that, we're going to blow everything else out the door. But
Mr. Chairman, I do have another question though.
Yes, sir.
So we've mentioned Vtol and drones a couple of times, Representative, and correct me on this, you're the expert on it. But my understanding, if you're using these things in a commercial context, that it's got to be a pilot. You have to have a pilot's license to actually use them.
Yes, Senator, I probably shouldn't conflate the two issues. The moment we come off the ground, the FAA gets involved, and now we've gone into, I'm just going to say, a governmental mess. So this is definitely to remain on ground. If obviously a local jurisdiction through the laboratory would want to deal with the FAA and figure out how to do that, I would actually encourage them to, because at the state level, we've been trying for several years to be able to get air taxi pathways approved by the FAA, drone pathways approved regarding autonomous.
I would stop talking, Representative. Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, there was a question that was proffered yesterday by the bike industry, and I just want to, not industry, pardon me, advocates. I do want to bring it up for your consideration very quickly, if that's okay before you proceed.
Please go ahead.
On line 221 and 222, we're going back to that sunrise to sunset. We know that we were asked by the operators of these to make sure it remains open, quote, during the day. I believe the advocates discussed something along the lines of being concerned about the bike paths and having conflicts during the day with these. Again, I don't see these being deployed at best until the fall of this year. I don't see a ton of issues occurring until the General Assembly reconvenes next year, if at all. But I just wanted to bring it up because it wasn't anything that I was able to think of any solution to with legislative council. And I didn't know if there was something that you wanted to consider or not.
I think we've limited the speed on sidewalks on these devices. We've got them addressed in several different places. I think we've done about as good as we can till we actually see what the technology moves us towards. If we need to come back to it next year, if it's a problem, I think you'll address it at that point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Senator Tippins has a question first. Yes, sir.
it may be in the bill and I haven't seen it, but is there identification of these vehicles on the outside? If it's a driverless vehicle, if it's involved in an incident, well, is it clearly identified?
Clearly identified, and also they have to put a phone number for a point of contact that has to be answered when the device is deployed. Sure.
Section 3 is something of interest to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
If we don't have section 3 in this bill, does that hamper Peachtree Corners from doing what they're doing today?
I believe the concern would be if there were elements of state law that and I'm just looking at this language that was in that was proffered. I think our concern is that if we're not able at the Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners to regulate that 1.5 mile local road that we have, that we have provisioned with the ability to do this testing, that there could be customers that come in that want to do specific testing that could be inadvertently prohibited by state law through no conscious effort in the statute, because no one's contemplated what it is yet.
So you're not doing any testing today?
No, that they're doing nothing but they are doing testing.
So how are you doing it without this law then?
Well, because there's House Bill 1009 is not in statute yet. And so our concern is that there would be law around how these new devices are covered in state law that would be stricter than someone would want to come in and attempt to test on this 1.5 mile track.
Gotcha.
So Senator, the concern that you raised was that, are you creating a loophole to allow Peachtree Corners in this instance in our, it's the largest city in Gwinnett County. Are we creating a loophole that allows us to preempt state law throughout the community? And the answer is no. I mean, we're, the way that we were contemplating the language that we had discussed last night was to draft it in such a way that it would only cover that 1.5 mile track where these tests are currently being taken.
And I thought that's what we had this morning, but it's changed. But so how would this, maybe we'll ask someone else in the room, how does this impact the autonomous world that we've created? We have one of the better state laws on the books. Right. Do you think it's clean? Okay.
It doesn't, because we already have driverless cars in
Right.
statute, this doesn't do anything to limit or prohibit the driverless automobile.
Yeah.
And to Senator Tippins, your concern on the contact, if you looked on line 156, the prominently displayed unique identification number, and then it goes on to talk about the contact phone number, and they have to be there. So I want to make sure that Representative Jones, are there any other things you want to comment before we take action on your bill?
No, sir. I appreciate the consideration.
Senator Lucas, did you say you had a motion? We've got a motion and a second and a third. Said all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion's unanimous. Representative Jones, you're going to still have Senator Gooch to carry your bill
Does Senator Gooch still want to carry my
as
bill?
amended. We actually, one of the things that I want to make sure we got our amendment on
Well, that's true.
line 35. That was a motion on the amendment, and now a motion now to move the bill. We get this right. Senator Dugan.
I move that we pass HB 1009 as substitute as amended.
Yes, sir. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Ah,
We got all of us on there, so thank you. And Senator Gooch, this is your bill, so you're carrying it. We stand adjourned. Thank.
Thank you.